Well, hello everyone. Cynthia Tomaine once again here with Interactive Brokers, and thanks for joining today's session on the Trader Workstation Market Scanner feature. Now, market scanners are available in both the classic version of TWS and the Mosaic pre-formatted interface. Our focus today is going to be on the Mosaic market scanners. So with that, let me jump right into the desktop share portion of our event, and we'll get started. Okay, I'm going to wait for just a moment while my version of TWS opens up on your screen, and it looks like we're going to have a little bit of latency here, so I do thank you for your patience as we do go through and view the information through Trader Workstation. Now, market scanners will allow you to quickly and efficiently scan global markets for the top performing contracts, whether in America, Europe, or Asia. Now, contracts you can scan include stocks, options, futures, U.S. corporate bonds, indices, and so much more. The available scanners will be determined by the instrument selection and the global region that you're going to be accessing. Now, you can customize market scanners with any combination of search criteria, such as instrument type, market center, price and volume constraints, sector, industry, and so much more. You can even create templates to run your favorite scans on demand. Now, scanners that we're going to be talking about today can be accessed in each of IB's trading applications. Now, we're going to be taking a look at them in Mosaic as well, but they're also available. Different types of scanners, while similar, you can find more advanced scanners will be available in our classic version of TWS. So notice under that new window drop-down box, you can access either of those market scanners. Now, a quick way to get to the market scanners, though, is notice in your um, quote monitor list, you'll find there is a plus arrow or a plus tab that will give you access to the market scanners that we do have available. Simply click that plus tab, and notice here you can go in and launch the market scanners. And before we do, hold on just a moment, because before we do start looking at the scanners, I also do want you to be aware that scanners can be accessed on each of IB's trading platforms. I mentioned Mosaic and the classic version of TWS, but I also want to take you into the global configuration screen. Notice that if you go to the lock and exit section, you'll find that you can also save your market scanners to the cloud. Making this check mark or accessing this and simply clicking apply and then OK. Notice here, once you do make that selection, market scanners that you create in TWS will be saved to the cloud and making them available on any of your mobile devices, smartphones and tablets. So do keep that in mind. All right, well, let's close out of that, and I'm going to go back now into my plus icon and then open up the market scanner list. Now, notice here, when I do open the market scanner, you'll find that there are some custom created scans. If you've already accessed this, notice you can create and save those scans to come back and access at any point. But also notice we're going to start with the predefined scans that are available. Now, when you select, notice here, you'll need to start off by selecting an asset class. Notice here an asset class and a global region. We're on U.S. stocks, and you'll see the majority of our predefined scans are available here. So notice there are quite a few that you can access quite readily. Now, when you do make a selection, and notice I might go into U.S. active, for example, and that's going to automatically pull up a scanner with criteria that has already been predefined. Notice here, you'll see that with our library opens up and it describes U.S. active. Right now we're looking at U.S. stocks with the greatest daily volume during the current trading session. Notice here the market centers that are included, and right now it's showing you just the average volume. Now I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one because keep in mind, and let's go back in, and I'm going to open up a second type of market scanner, and this time we're going to go with the U.S. movers. Now in this case here, you'll find, as with many of our scans, there are dual sorted scans, which are going to show you the greatest negative change in price since previous business day will be included on the left-hand side of the screen, as well as the greatest positive increase in those scanners will appear over on the right. By the way, take a look at the background shading. It gives you at-a-glance information. Also do want to point out the tick dots that appear here. Notice that what we're seeing is the last price and the change in price since previous business day, but you'll also see that tick dots are displayed and will show you directional movement on that last price. Red tick dot means it was filled on a down tick, where a green tick dot indicates the last trade was filled on an uptick. Also do want to point out, if you happen to see any icons appearing in the scanner, simply hover your cursor over and it will give you an explanation in the tooltip that pops up. For example, notice here I'm hovered over a short sale restriction, and you'll see that this with a definition is described. So if you do happen to see any of these additional icons that pop up and display, keep in mind a hover help is readily available. Now, also notice that the library actually opens up here and defines what it is that you're viewing within the scanner. Now, notice there's also a button that will allow you to customize. So while the information that is predefined here is going to be displayed by default, you have the ability to add from any of our available market data fields for information that you want to view or actually even sort by within the scanner window. Here you can simply choose Customize and notice that you've now opened up a separate screen. Now notice that I am working off of a predefined, but we're going to modify it here. You can also simply click and just call this, I'm just going to call this a test scanner. So once you've named the scan, it will then become available to you after you've created or customized that information. Now, when we get into this library, I first want to go back to the universe here. That universe was defined when you first chose the predefined values. We're looking at U.S. equities. Now, notice here ETFs, equity ETFs and fixed income ETFs can also be accessed, as well as future products. Notice there's also an additional plus icon here that will allow you to choose indices or options as well. So keep in mind that universe will allow you to define what it is or what universe you want to scan for some possible trading opportunities. Now, notice the next section here is going to identify the exchange or exchanges, ECNs, where any of these products do trade. Those that are highlighted in green are included as part of the criteria for your scan. Now, you could add, notice I may want to put BATS in, and as soon as you do make a selection, you'll see the scanner will automatically update over on the right-hand side of the screen based on the action that you've just taken. Now, because we're looking at equities, notice there's further clarification. Are you looking for corporations, ADRs, ETFs, REITs, or closed-end funds? And by the way, even more can be available. Simply put a check mark within this window to either include in your scan or exclude. Notice here those that are not selected here. So I could move this off of the ADRs. Maybe I don't want to see any of the ADRs. And once again, as you do make that selection, you'll see it automatically update on the right-hand side of your screen. Okay. Now, I'm going to, well, let's go back. I'm going to simply unselect that and close out of this particular window. Now, further filtering can be done by index. Notice here there are several indices that are available. So if you're looking for something that may trade on the SPX, notice I'll simply add that as another additional filter now, and just those products that appear on the right-hand side will be included in the S&P 500. Now, notice here we do have multiple different indices that are available, as well as another plus button, so you can choose any that are available within this drop-down list. Now notice there's an extra selection here that will allow you to filter U.S. equities by sector. Notice here we do have sectors you could choose, and I may want to go out to the communications sector, and as I do, you'll see I've now filtered the products or the content of the scanner over on the right-hand side. Now notice this looks like it's a rather up day in the markets, and you'll see that where we do have additional rows of information, that with that dual scan, you'll see the top performing contracts as well as those that may not be doing so well for the current trading session. Now, once you filter, notice that you can go into the industries and perhaps filter even further on telecommunications. And notice here, we've just now filtered to just those firms that are included in the S&P index in communications, telecommunications, and by the way, we could even drill down further. Now, at any time, notice here, when you have added an item, you can choose to, where that red X appears, you can choose to eliminate that filter to get a more complete listing of what it is that you're looking for. Okay, so now let's go into fields and filters. Simply choosing that, you'll see you now have the ability to add additional fields or filters onto your screen. Now, without any filtering, you may happen to find some of the results way too broad. For example, now if I do go back to the universe, I'm going to deselect the SPX and notice that we've got penny stocks listed on this screen, as well as many more expensive stocks. Now, if these results are too broad, notice that when we get into the fields and filters, there's a customize button. That customize button will allow you to then add additional fields. So notice, and hopefully you've caught up. Yep, there you are. I'm going to use that add field drop down. Now notice when I do drop down the information, you'll find several categories of the market data fields that we make available throughout Trader Workstation. Notice each of these fields can be expanded. And so, for example, if you're looking for high, low volume history, you can expand that particular section, and you might want to see those products that are currently trading on a 52-week high based on the criteria that's included here. Now, notice each section you can expand by clicking the plus or collapse by clicking the minus sign that appears here. For example, I may want to go into fundamentals, and notice popular fundamentals will pop up here. Now, once I do go in, I may want to add, for example, price to earnings ratio. Notice as soon as I make that selection, it's now been included over on the right-hand side of the screen. There's additional fields that are available here, or you could simply go in and choose from analyst ratings, for example. I'm simply going to expand that section. Notice here I could add analyst price target. Or wait a minute, that was the price disparity. By the way, each time that you add a separate field, notice that you can hover over the column header that's displayed for a tooltip that describes what it is that you just added to the screen. So notice I've added that price disparity, but I might want to also add the average price target. Notice where this particular contract is currently trading, but analysts do believe that the average target price is much greater. So here you can see what that disparity is, and TWS will actually calculate that for you. Did want you to see that you can add this information very easily by going through the add field. Now there's additional items that are available. For example, I may want to add graphical prices. Now, let's go in and I'm simply going to choose a graphic change. Now notice I've added an extra column that's not visible within the scanners, but keep in mind you do have the ability, simple double clicking in a blank space on the title bar, you can expand that scanner to view in full screen access. So if you've added some additional columns that may not be visible in that small window, you can always expand the workspace to view the information that's displayed. By the way, keep in mind here, notice that with the column headers, you can add or remove those column headers at any time within the platform by simply, notice here, if I want to remove that change percent, I'll simply remove that, and now I have some additional screen real estate. I'm going to take this back down into our windowed view because I did want you to see that information can be added or easily removed. Now, since I did remove that change percent column, notice what I am going to do is go back into my financial information. Let me see here. We'll have to add that I believe it may be under our prices, and notice here how I can add that change percent back onto the screen. So whether you've added it and removed it, or whether you've removed it or want to have it visible, you can simply make that selection. Now notice here, while we still are in that change and change percent, notice that what I've done, these graphical that graphical change is going to show you the direction and the degree of that change. And you'll find our color coding or our background color gives you that at a glance information. So notice here, this particular product has fallen and you'll see included on this page, and let me simply notice, I'm going to grab my percent change. You'll see that this particular item has fallen almost 2%. So notice that makes an easy way for you to view the information. Now, also, before we do move on, I do want to show you that within the fields and filters, you have the ability to choose whether you want to display that item. So notice where I did add percent change, and since I've got it on here, I'm also going to bring that. Simply left-clicking and dragging will allow you to reorganize the columns of information that are displayed. So you'll see, after making that choice, it will automatically line up within your quote monitor screen. But also notice that you could choose whether to display this item or not. Notice here that I do have display selected, and what I will do is simply choose the drop down and select none. That removes it from my screen, but I can simply come back in and choose to view it as well directly from that drop down box. So notice you can add or remove any of these items. Now, I'll go ahead and we'll put that value back in, but market capitalization, you'll see that market cap is not displayed on the screen. So notice how that black box doesn't show you the information, so it is not available as a display, but you can choose to sort. Now notice when we first come into this screen here, we'll see that the items are not sorted, but notice that if I do want to sort by market cap, I could sort low to high, high to low, or even take it back to a dual sort. Once I make that selection, this time instead of sorting on change, it has actually sorted on market cap that's not visible on your screen. Now, once I've added this, remember you can go back and I'm going to choose, in this case, we'll go back to unsorted. Now, there's also um, for example, notice that when we are selecting average volume as one of those criteria, there's also a or a filter button. With that filter button displayed in green, it means that this has been activated, and you'll see my average volume here I've set to from 500K to 132 million. Now notice that with this you could simply click the filter button, and with when you do select that filter, notice how there is a range that displays from the from volumes less 100 to 13,000, 100K, even more. Also, you'll find that there are some range bars that are included in this screen that will help you define the uh, the range that you do want to view. Notice that I may want to go back to 100,000 and keep this between 100 and 200,000. Well, as I'm trying to access the information, simply clicking and dragging that scroll bar, you'll see it will redefine. If you aren't able to get directly on or onto those numbers, do be aware that you can use your keyboard. So I'm going to type in 100K here to 200K, and you'll see that range bar has now been refocused here, and so have uh, the results over displayed within your watch list or your quote monitor window. Now, notice here that in addition to displaying this information, you can also choose different values. Now, once we get into the value section here, you'll see that you can choose whether to display those values as a gradient, a bar, or a line chart, but also notice that you can choose to display those graphically with the gradient bar or line, as well as listed as a separate column of information. Now, what I'm going to do here is take this into a gradient, and you'll see our price to earnings ratio has now been added into this window. Now, if you do display this as a gradient, what you'll see is that a colored circle with different shades will provide information on that field. Simply hover your cursor over any of the gradients, and you'll see a tooltip that opens up that will describe that color shading key. So the bright green colors are at the top, and notice here that based on that price to earnings ratio, notice here that darker green is taking us down to the lower end of the spectrum. Those that appear in black, notice here, are even lower. So you can view the information at a glance by simply checking different colored information. Now, also notice that if you want to add any additional fields, you can also, let's see, we may want to go into volume and history. Let me see here. And what I'll do is simply choose the high for the current trading session. Now, adding new fields, you'll see it's been added here, and I can choose, for example, well, a high is only going to show you that value and not a gradient. But if we do go into some of the additional fields that are available, say some of our popular fundamentals, notice the analyst rating I may choose, and now by adding that analyst rating, we'll see, notice here there is a label that is displayed. We could choose that gradient as well. So what I'm going to do is add that as a gradient, and now notice that using the gradient, you can find companies that excel across multiple different scanner criteria. So notice, once again, we do try and provide you that information for at-a-glance viewing. Okay, now also notice that we could add, and I do want to show you, for example, the different values. We do have the analyst the average price target that can appear as a bar. Notice if I do add that bar, you'll see it now display separately within the market scanner window. We also could choose to display this as a line, and notice once again it is going to give you that information that will display on your market scanner. But for right now, to keep the window uncluttered, I'm just going to go back to the values here and notice that I do have price to earnings as well as let me see here. Oh, that was the average analyst rating. Now, keep in mind that while you are displaying, and let's go into our gradient, notice here I could use the gradient with those values. You'll see price to earnings ratio appears not only as a gradient, but also as a column. Now, the reason that you may want to display the values here is notice that throughout TWS, wherever you happen to left-click on a column header, it will actually resort the information that's included based on that column header. Notice you'll also see that arrowhead is displayed, and here we're taking a look at the price to earnings ratio from the or in incremental or as it increases, but notice a second left click will give this to me in decreasing values as well. So once again, you can create this information and choose how you want to have it displayed. Now, there is a sort field, and notice here where we did just choose to sort. Whether you click on the column header or use the sorting criteria in your fields and filters, you can choose that sort once again. If you do want to view that dual sort, remember it will separate the information that does appear on the page. Okay, but each time you make any changes, do be aware that you can or that it will automatically update over on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, while the updated results build immediately in the monitor window as you make edits, you will need to click Done once you have added all of those additional fields that you may want to view. Also, keep in mind the results can be exported to Excel. Simply clicking this button will create a comma-separated value file that you can export and then open up in Excel. So a lot of capabilities are included within those market scanners. Now, once you click Done, that scan has been enabled, and you do have the ability to go back and make additional scans. Now notice, once you've closed that scanner criteria, there's also a separate button that's included in the scanner pane that will allow you to go back in and edit the scanner to bring up some additional information. Now remember, before we had this separated by index, so what I'm going to do is pull this same information up, but simply for the S&P. Oh, well, it looks like I've got too many filters here. Let's see. Notice, by the way, you can include multiple filters by simply clicking any of these additional items that are displayed here. Okay, well, it looks like I've got this down to, I've filtered very minutely. But what I'm going to do here is simply notice I could close out of this screen and come back and access it at any one time, or simply remove some of these additional filters, and you'll see that your initial criteria is available. Okay, now I'm going to close out of this window because not only can you add a single scanner, notice there are multiple different scanners that are available. I'm going to open up the market scanner and notice here that by selecting a different global region or a different contract will change what scanners are available to you. So notice, for example, if I do go into, and in this case here, I may want to take a look at futures. and U.S. futures, and I'll simply put a selection here instead of stock. And now notice when I tab or click out of that field, we'll see that we are going to be looking at U.S. futures. Now notice each time you choose a different instrument, it will drive what scans are available for you. So here we do have U.S. future movers, and now notice what displays over on the right-hand side of the screen will be those future contracts. Now, in this case here, I do want to point out, if you do not have market data subscriptions for the content that is displayed, notice these yellow tick dots. These tick dots are letting you know that you do not hold market data subscriptions, and what we're looking at is delayed information that's available. Now, I could go in and customize this screen and choose notice the first thing that pops up is that message, which lets you know that you don't have market data subscriptions. But if you do want to scan for these products, you can simply launch the subscription manager and apply for those subscriptions today. Now, what I'm going to do is choose not to show that again, but I did want you to see that you do have the ability, and notice where you're seeing tick dots here, it is showing you where live products are available. Now, also notice this window that just popped up. Once you do have or have created that scanner, do keep in mind that throughout TWS, you have the ability to show and automatically sort and resort up to 100 active ticker symbols at any one time on the platform. Notice here that while TWS does provide simultaneous quotes for 100 active ticker symbols, if you exceed in that scanner, notice that I pulled back 104. So what this is telling me is that it's a warning that the dual sort capabilities will be disabled on the platform. You can click the Edit Scanner button and go back and to add or change price, volume, or other filters to limit the results that are going to be displayed in this window. Now, there are booster packs available in your account management that you can subscribe to as well if you find these 100 active ticker symbols too limiting. Those booster packs are available and will give you an additional 100 active data or active market ticker symbols at any one time on the platform, but it does come at a price. So what I'm going to do is choose not to display this again so that it doesn't keep popping up. But do keep in mind that only 100 active ticker symbols will be displayed. Now, I'm going to go back into the library here and notice that I do have quite a few ticker symbols that are listed. Those that you don't subscribe to, notice, do include that market data icon that will also allow you to subscribe to those markets. But notice you can simply deactivate okay, and this one here is actually letting me know that I can include from different regions. Well, as a tip for you, that actually is referring to the Chicago Futures Exchange rather than the CME. Now, notice here I'm going to deselect some of these items by simply, notice I'm going to close those additional items down. Did I turn that off? Let me make sure that I did. Let's click OK. And now I'm going to go in and let me also select, I'm also going to turn off the NYSE Life. So now what you'll see is that I'm looking at does include the ECBOT as well as Globex. So if you don't subscribe to those markets, you can still pull the information in, but do be aware that it is showing you with that yellow tick dot delayed market quotes. So I'm going to turn off the ECBOT, and now notice that what I do have are all of those future contracts that meet the criteria or that we could add additional fields and filters for. So your futures contracts are available as well. Now, if we go back into the universe, I do want to mention here that notice I could go back into the library once again and choose alternate products. So rather than taking a look at those futures, notice that what I could do is pull up, for example, European products. Notice in this case here, we do have a few more predefined um, scanners that are available. Now, each of these, by the way, will pull up a separate scanner that you can then customize to suit your trading preferences. Okay, let me pause for a moment because I do want to stop and make sure if you've got any questions, put them in the question panel, and I'll try to get to those as we're going through this information. Okay. By the way, if you happen to be in Asia, notice here there's additional items that can also be accessed. So why I'm showing you this is just to drive home the fact that you need to identify both the instrument type and the global region that will first start out filtering those available scans based on your selection. Now, there are some additional scans that can also be accessed. You'll notice we've got ETFs, equity ETFs, fixed income ETFs, and even quite a few different products here, including options. But notice that if I do go in and I'm going to select the options as the underlying instrument, notice that what it will show me are complex orders and trades. Now, once I do make that selection, I'm going to simply click out of this window here, and you'll see now the, oh, let me see, let me make sure. Uh, oh, it is complex orders. It hasn't updated because I have not selected that just yet. But when I do make that selection here, notice what's going to display is the universe. Now, once again, I can choose stocks, ETFs, or any of these others. But if it is, if you're looking for complex spreads, notice here that when I make the selection, I can enter a ticker symbol. Now, this or this option ticker, notice we'll simply choose, I'm going to go ahead and click enter because, well, first of all, until you click enter, notice that I do have it in all lowercase. You are going to have to identify the routing destination and the home exchange. Now, say, for example, if you're trading Cisco is that is listed on NASDAQ, we'll simply choose stock and smart. But keep in mind, you do have the ability to trade Cisco on a Mexican exchange or a Dutch exchange as well. So it's important that you do make your selection here. Once you do, you'll see that underlying has identified this as those complex orders and strategies that are available now for Cisco products only. So notice here that what we see are, and you'll see here that for those complex or spread strategies, any that are included that have a bid or an offer in today's markets or have already traded will be listed here. Notice the pink tick dot is going to show you this is the implied spread pricing. So you'll see here that for a July 34 buy right or a covered call, notice that you can see the volume as well as current bid and offer prices. Now on this window, you can also left click on the volume, and left clicking, well, the first left click will give you an ascending order, but notice if we left click again, you'll be able to see the complex spreads that have traded most in the current market. And notice here, simply hovering over those spreads will actually show you that, for example, that reverse calendar spread, you're buying a June contract and selling a July contract. And all of that will be listed in the tooltip. Now, if you want to take a look at other products, notice here I might put IBM in, and remember that you do have to click enter to identify that or that underlying. And now what I'm pulling up are those complex spread strategies that either have a bid or an offer or have already traded in the current trading session. Now, if this is not what you're looking for, if you're looking for scanners to locate options or option contracts, excuse me, what we can do is instead of going with the product, I'm going to go back into the library and we're going to select equities here. Now notice that I do not have, or once I've made that selection, there are some additional scanners that can also be run based on the underlying equity. So for example, if I do want to pull up put call volume, you'll see what's displayed is going to be a dual sorted scan that shows those equities with both the highest and the lowest put call ratios. Notice here the put call ratio is included and displayed, and you can actually even you'll see here that notice what those ratios actually do display and are sorted in ascending or descending value. So once again, another dual sort. Now I'm going to go back to the library because there's some additional features or additional scans. But keep in mind, implied volatility versus historical volatility or even option volume can also be run as a different scan. But notice that you do have to start off with the underlying contract, and in this case, we've chosen equities. So if you do want to see option volume, this is going to also show you those contracts and notice that have the highest volume in today's trading session. So, well, of course, you'll see spiders on top. BABA is included, and any of these other products. Now, also, let's go back because there's another scan that will actually show you implied versus historical volatility. This dual sorted scan identifies those equities whose options have the highest implied volatility versus their 30-day historical vols. And notice that when you open up each of these libraries, you'll see what that scan or how that scan has been created. And keep in mind that you have the ability by going through that Customize button to access any of the items that are displayed. Now I'm going to go back into the library once again and show you that there are quite a few different values that can also be added. And I also do want to point out that as of a recent build, we added the Recognia technical indicator scanners. I get lots of questions looking to see if you can locate information for the scanner. Notice here that you will have to subscribe to Recognia, which is included with our market data or our interactive broker. There's a bundled package, our information systems that are available. Now, what I will do is take you into account management. Or actually, let's go into our pricing menu, and you'll see research, news, and market data subscriptions are available. If you'd like to see what those prices are from that menu, you can actually locate this information and scroll down to find free services or bundled services. We even do have a la carte subscriptions that are available. But if we take a look at the bundled package, you'll find here, I'm going to simply let's jump down to that bundled package. Notice that these are the items that are included in that basic bundle. You'll see what the different prices are here. And notice it is Recognia. This is the one place that you can subscribe to Recognia. With that subscription, it will enable these technical indicators that you can then pull up. For example, and some of them are even predefined. Now notice when I go into the strongest or strong bullish indicators, you'll see that these scanners are displayed and also the different criteria that's included in here. Now, Recognia's pattern recognition technology will identify technical events that have occurred or formed over days, weeks, and even months that could indicate trends over the short, medium, and long-term horizons here. So once you have added those scanners, notice that you could go in and customize to add some additional items. Now, notice here, I'm going to go into the add field. Those that are included in this list will be visible, but notice that if I do, and let me see here, we're going to open up the add field because Recognia can actually, and as you scroll down, I'm going to go down to the very bottom of this list. Notice here, those technical indicators you can add once we're going to expand. And so you may want to add the event name that occurred. So I'm going to add that event name. And notice here, this happens to be a long-term scanner, a bullish scanner here. And what we're going to see, and I'm going to simply let me choose not to display the price change. And notice here that crossing a moving average, there's bottom triangles, and all of those different pattern recognition. The Recognia software will pull up both fundamental and technical data points to find stocks that do match your criteria. With over 60 technical events such as head and shoulders, breakouts, shooting stars, and hammers, as well as gravestones, triangles, flags, and pennants, and even more can all be accessed directly in here. So if you are looking to add or include technical indicators, it is that subscription to Recognia that will be required. And then once you have it, you can add any of these to the platform. Now, by the way, I'm going to close out of, let me just click done here for a moment. And any of these items on here, once you do have that scanner available, notice that by clicking one of those items, it will actually because of the color linking icon that we have, has now been added to each of the different Mosaic windows. It's set up in the order entry screen so that you can indeed place an order. You can view your expanded quote details, and notice here that the information is displayed. Even a real-time chart is available for you to take a look at longer term information. So for example, I may want to come out, choose more, and we'll pull up a 3-month chart here. It'll take a moment for it to draw on your screen, and then notice how you can easily evaluate any of the stocks or the ticker symbols that you do pull up in the scanner. Oh, I see that we have some questions here. Vivek has said, I Googled and found that classic TWS normal scanner can show pre-market gappers. Well, so can this. Let me see here. I think I've got... Let's go in, and what I'm going to do is simply, well, first of all, notice that I could right-click on that tab. If you've created multiple scanners, hovering over that scan will show you other tabs that you have open, or notice that I may want to simply close that particular scanner tab down. Now, if you're looking, and what I'm going to do is let's start off with that test. Oh, no, I did have a test. Well, let me... I'm going to close that scanner as well. So we'll simply close that. Going in, what I'd like to do is pull up the Mosaic Market Scanner. And let's see here. We'll go, and by the way, notice each of those scans that I've opened are still or do remain available in that scanner library. Now, in this case, if I do want, and I'm going to take a look at the Mosaic scanners, or the the U.S. movers, for example. And then I'm going to go into the field. We'll click the Customize button and go into Fields and Filters section, where you can start by adding volume. Notice if you want to add volume from the category, here we do have that average volume. Now, you can choose, remember, if you want it displayed or simply specify the range of volume that you do want listed here. Notice that I can have the volume by simply clicking that drop-down arrow and choosing to add the value, and the volume is now displayed. Now, now also notice that if I do go into the Ads field, and you'll see high, low, volume, and history. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the scanner, it's the prices that I want to do. And notice here that if you do go into the prices and simply expand that category, Vivek, you can choose gap. It's now been added, and notice that that gap will actually be displayed. By the way, you can also choose to sort by the gap. So notice here, I may want to sort low to high, high to low, or a dual sort that will give me both those tickers that gap down at for today's trading, and also those that have gapped up. So it is possible to add gap into the market, into the Mosaic market scanners as well. Also available in the classic version of TWS. Now, on this page here, you may also notice here there's quite a bit of difference in what's displayed. So we may want to sort, or notice here, filter by price. So what I'm going to do, you'll see that penny stocks are included. So instead, I may want to take this, and we'll pull this up to the last price. I'm going to limit the last price to $10. Notice that I can make that selection either using the range bars or simply typing the information in. And I may only want this to go from $10 to $50 stock. So notice here, simply making that selection, you'll see the last price now is going to display just what's included based on that selection here. So Vivek, yes, you can use the scanners to to locate gaps during the current trading session. Okay. So, and if it's true, can you say between 2% high and 10,000? Well, utilize this is where if you do want to create any of your filters, or simply how you want it sorted, notice that this is the window under Fields and Filters once you've added those additional items. Okay, will this work in the pre-market hours? Well, notice what we're seeing here. When you do double click, it's showing you this is the difference between the open price and the previous day's close. So it looks like, and once again, you can find that information by simply hovering for that tooltip to appear. Also, another feature that's included here is you'll see that you do have the ability to choose whether it is a 2% gap with a right click. Notice that when I do use that right click, what I'm going to do is simply expand this window, and here we should be able to see, hold on a minute, I have a panel that's blocking that scanner. So what I'm going to do is go in, sort by gap. Notice we can click high and low. And we should be able to view the information. Well, let me see if I can do, it is right click, I believe, in that field. Notice here, let me see. This will allow me to scroll by the gap, and I should be able to toggle between, I think I might need an additional field here. Let's go into the last price, and let me see if that's Well, I'll have to find that here, but you should be able to toggle between whether you're viewing the absolute price or the percentage that's included or that's represented by the gap that you've got displayed. Let me see here. Right-click on the column header to toggle between the absolute price. Let me see. Oh, toggle display. And I was looking for percentage, but it was included as toggle display. So yes, you can, and if you do want to limit that, remember that we can go into the gap, choose the values that you do want to display, or simply filter. Um, but it is going to show you, you only have a choice between that, or you can toggle simply by right-clicking and choosing that toggle display. So there you go. Your question is only for the pre-market. Well, because this or the gap is the difference between the open price and the close of the previous business day. I'm not sure, but do take a look around and see if there are some possibilities where you might be able to use that. Is there any way we can see pre-market gappers? This seems to be like real time after the market open. It is that what you might want to do is contact our technical support team to see if they may be able to find out if that is available for you. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it right here. Okay. Let me see. So we've taken a look at several of those scanners, but something else that I did want you to see, not only can you use the scanners within the market data or your quote monitor window, they're also available within our uh, fundamental, our company fundamentals. Now, notice that if I do pull up, and I'm just going to come over, let me see, I want to choose, uh, well, I'm just going to right-click on a particular ticker symbol and notice that from that right-click menu, you get an intuitive navigation panel. If you're looking to drill down on any of these company fundamentals before you actually do enter any trades, notice that right-click under Fundamental Analytics opens up a separate panel. Now, this one here should be um, selected, but since it's not, we'll go ahead and I'm just going to simply add, in this case, let me pull this up. Well, let's go in. I'll use the drop-down box. By the way, you should also be able to simply type in, and that's what I was trying to do, type in your ticker symbol and navigate to the equity or that corporation and notice that corporate fundamentals are included here. Now, we do go through a separate webinar utilizing the fundamental analytical tools, but what I did want to show you is that if you do pull up a product, you can go into the Similar Products tab. Notice this looks much like a scanner. Now you'll see these scanners are included in fundamental analysis and will show you or give you the ability to display or run any of these scanners that will show you related companies or similar products that are included in the same industry or sector that you do have selected. So notice here we might want to see the most active in the communication sector, and you'll see as soon as you make that choice, it then will update your scanner criteria. By the way, from here, notice a right-click on the column headers will allow you to sort by any of these columns, column headers, any that include numerical information, or it will also allow an alphabetical sorting if you're looking for something in particular. Now, you can configure these scanners, and similar to what we were just doing in fields and filters, notice that the gainers and losers in the industry are all going to be described here, just what criteria is included. Now, notice if you do select most active or select one of these, it actually lights up the buttons over on the right-hand side where you could go in and edit any of that criteria, select or filter by a particular price range, even include the different sectors, industry, or categories. Oh, my apologies there. Okay. Well, I'd like to turn it over if you have any questions at this time. Now go ahead and put that into the chat panel or into that question panel there, and I'd be happy to answer your questions before we do conclude our session today. Okay. Now, very quickly, I did mention that scanners are available, and I'm simply going to close any of these out. If you do find something you want to trade, simply clicking on that ticker symbol adds it to the order entry window where you can find any news articles that are associated. Notice here you can find the articles that are listed as well. Will be displayed. So this integrated platform is where you can view information and even drill down to do a little bit further research on any of the items displayed. Now, by the way, I do want to quickly show you whether you're working in Mosaic or the classic version of TWS, market scanners are available here as well. We're going to go into the advanced market scanner, and notice you can access that directly from within Mosaic. Now, similar to what we saw in the setup screen or the library, notice there are different underlying instruments that are available. For example, which are not yet included in the Mosaic scanners, is the ability to search for corporate bonds, agency bonds, or even U.S. Municipal bonds. So the advanced scanners do give you quite a bit more criteria here as well. Now, one last item to show you, and I'm going to go back to that right click on the plus. Market statistics are available. Now, these market statistics will show you, and notice that there was no scanner required. It just pulls up the stats for the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the American Stock Exchange. This includes advancing and declining issues, those that are trading on an up volume or a down volume, and those that are unchanged. Even tick and trend indicators are available on this particular window. Once you've added these scanners, keep in mind they will remain as a separate tab in your watch list, or simply right-click and choose to edit the scanner, rename the watch list, or go in and close the scanner and take it out of your view. Is it possible to be sent? Esther is talking about yesterday's lesson. Esther, if you can actually, that's a very good question here, because not only are we recording each of our events, you can also find these on the Interactive Broker website. I'm going to go to the home menu here, because underneath the education menu, notice there is a webinar section that's included. That opens up to our webinars page, where you can sign up for any of our upcoming live webinars, or go in and review any of the recorded webinars. Now notice this does come in and automatically brings you to the recorded webinar page. That's actually going to show you those recordings in date order. So it wasn't yesterday. Actually, the last event that we did on TWS was using option chains. Now notice this is a hyperlink that will take you directly to a sign-up screen to access the option chains recording. By the way, I also do want you to be aware that notice the webinar notes. Now I'm going to scroll down and you'll see, well, here we have the advanced market scanner notes. And let me continue to scroll. Well, we'll have to, looks like we'll have to add one for the market scanner today. But here is where you'll be able to find today's and any of our archive webinars. Now notice the webinar notes, I will be sending you a link to today's webinar notes. This is on the general market scanners, but you'll see you'll actually be getting these webinar notes as or later on when I do send you a direct link to the recorded playback. So thanks for asking, Esther. But here is where you can access not only this week's recordings, but keep in mind there is a whole archive of available recordings that are available that you can easily access whenever you have the time or the convenience. Well, with that, looks like we have come to the end of today's session. So I want to thank you for participating with me here today and also suggest that you give those market scanners a try. If you do find one, and let's jump right back into TWS, remember if you do find a scanner that you like, simply naming that scanner, and we'll go right in, go into rename the scanner. Notice here, I can call this, and I'm just going to put this on as my favorite, for example, and click OK. That then becomes the name of the scanner so that you can easily recognize it. Uh, Notice we can go into those most active, which is one of the predefined scans, or go into my favorites where I may have added any additional fields or filters or additional criteria that you do want to look for. So with that, we are going to conclude our session. Have a great afternoon, everyone. I appreciate the time that you spent with me here this afternoon, and look forward to seeing you on any upcoming webinars. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.